Hey guys, so a few people have been asking questions. A few people have picked up that we've got more than one Prado, and we have got a new 2019 Prado we're driving around a little bit at the moment and also setting up for touring. So there's going to be some more information on, I suppose, we've had a few four drives over the years, Hiluxes, Prados and whatnot, set a few of those up. And specialising in Prados, I suppose, we see a lot of the problems, and learn a lot of do's and don'ts. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a heap of videos coming through, not just all the usual information, also depending what you're using your vehicle for, how you want to set it up and what accessories you need, what brands to use, not to use, maybe more what to use more than what not to use, and what modifications we're doing in the setup and why we're doing it and why we've done it that way. And we're just going to drop all our contacts and brands and contacts and whatever, so that you can go ahead and contact them if you like, to do the same yourself, because look, we only use good people in good businesses that do good work and provide good products and service at good value for money prices, funnily enough. So happy to share that information, who we use. People have asked, what do you think about the vehicle so far? Well, I'll just stop for a minute so I can think and answer that question. What do we think about it so far? Okay. Look, quite obviously it's a new vehicle. Any new vehicle seems good. Okay, so that's the first point I'd like to make. It's a new car, of course it's good. Secondly, it's a new Toyota, so it's a quality brand vehicle. It's a quality make, Toyota, Prado, made in Japan, quality. Of course, awesome vehicles. What are you going to not like about it? What don't I like about the car? Okay, so the Prados are solid vehicles, beautiful to drive. There's not much I could pick on. Wouldn't change much. I've had other new vehicles that have got Apple CarPlay, so it's a bit disappointing that there's vehicles from years ago, a couple of years ago at least, came out in manufacturing that had CarPlay, and we still haven't got CarPlay, simply because it just integrates the use of your mobile phone. Not that you need to use it, but just for simple things, like Google Maps, for example. Google Maps works best for me, so the outdated maps on vehicles, it just doesn't really work. It's all out of date, and so things like that mainly. And obviously if you can answer a call or a message and it works really well, integrate. Look, the car kit works fine, it does work really well in these later models. The old ones with the head units, the doubled-in unit type thing that you could take out. The hands-free were never really any good in my opinion, in Hiluxes, Prados, 200 series, whatever. Don't get me wrong, they could hear you, but it was one way that you couldn't hear them, sort of thing. Or if the person in the car could hear the person not in the car, but the person not in the car generally would have some issues hearing the person in the car, is what I found. I think it doesn't matter anyway, that's another story. So look, CarPlay would have been good, and just the bigger engine, instead of a smaller engine. Definitely the 1KD feels like it's got a bit more grunt behind it, so I've still got the 120, that's not going anywhere. I'm not endorsing the new vehicle saying, get yourself a 1GD. I'm not saying not to either. It all depends what your use is going to be. If you're going to sit around going slow, idling in traffic, whatever, might not be the best thing for the DPF. But that being said, with the current software of doing a burn every 300 Ks, it might well sort that out. So, but over time, it's probably going to get worse. While the vehicle's new, it's running clean, you're going to have less soot. Once they get older and things get worse as far as that goes, it's going to get worse. But then time will tell. The warranty is good, that's the main thing. This certainly won't be a vehicle we're keeping in the long term, if you know what I mean. We're just going to go through a number of different vehicles, new, old, whatever, because it's all part of the R&D and learning and experiencing different vehicles, so that we can answer questions with all the right information. Obviously, if I've only got a 120 Prado, or say in a 2013 150, whatever, then mainly that's what. Funnily enough, you learn more about the vehicle when you own one. So if you're just working on them, it's just not quite the same. It's hard to explain. People that are in that situation probably understand what I mean, but you learn a lot more about a vehicle when you own one. So that's what we're going to do. That's the aim. It's a bit of R&D as well. So we're going to sort of go through everything, share all the information we know about it. Very happy with the new vehicle. Drives beautiful. It's a new car, you know. I mean, the other main car I drive is a 2008 120, which drives beautiful as well, until you drive this. But then, you know, they're both very different to each other. They both drive awesome. I think with the 120, the biggest thing you notice when you get back into it is you have to press the brake pedal a little bit, you know. Probably that booster, the vane pump, not the vane pump, the what's it called? The one for the brakes, anyway. What is there? Anyway, forget all my names. The vane pumps for the power steering. The other one, well, I call it the brake booster. It's not that. The whatever pump. Anyway, you know what I mean. It's probably getting tired, you know, not creating as much vacuum, possibly, and maybe that's why when they get older, possibly problems with EGR systems, because that vacuum's got to operate EGR things for the EGR and that. So maybe that's related, you know, and the engine mounts as well. So maybe that's something we've got to start looking into as they get older as well, whether those pumps. But we're sort of getting a bit off topic again, you know. It's a lot of information, we could talk all day. So look, the vehicle, mate, it's a new Prado, so awesome. I don't know, I haven't really got anything else to say about it. There's not much I could pick on other than what I already mentioned. It's like a vacuum on the back of the vehicle. That rear wing on the door is absolutely terrible. Get rid of it, make it like the 120 or something, I don't know. Just put the windscreen wiper back at the bottom, you know, the stoplight up the top, and just get rid of that silly wing. It's just a chunk of plastic that attracts every bit of road spray, dirt, dust. It just pulls it right in onto the door. It's ridiculous. I don't know what we're getting in return for it, but I don't know why they put it there is what I'm trying to say. Maybe it was just to get that windscreen wiper up top underneath out of the way and look neater. I hope that's not all it was, but I think we'd rather have the windscreen wiper on the bottom of the window behind the wheel. It wasn't really in the way. It was pretty awesome. But anyway, it's what it is. We'll keep driving, and if I think of anything else to tell you about it, I'll hit you up with another video. Thanks for watching. So yeah, as I said, there's a few people been asking questions, so this is kind of more, just want to try and answer a few. I wish I could remember what they all were. Probably should do a live video, and then we can have a look and work out exactly what those questions are. So let's have a look at the engine side of things and do a bit of we did a bit of a compare the pair, but let's compare the pair again. Okay, so this one, as I said, almost a month old. It's got almost 9,000 Ks on it. I think I've decided to go for the Century Dual Force and the genuine clamp. Now the differences in the engine, obviously they've changed a few things with the 1KD, just a little bit. So the rest of the whole vehicle's around about the same. But this part, the engine bay area, you know, from between the airbox and that edge of that fuse box there, is completely different. So it's a whole new engine, and not just the engine, a lot of the things around it, what are, you know, I suppose bolted on, are different also. Starting with right here, you can see you've got the power steering pump there. The way vehicles are traditionally and how they used to be, they had a standalone power steering pump. That's what that is there, and they may call it something else, whatever, but vane pump, whatever. But look, on the 1KD, it's built in. It's geared to the engine. It's down the bottom. It's bolted onto the engine, kind of like integrated, if you like, with the vacuum pump there. So you've got the vane pump and the vacuum pump together down the bottom below the fuel supply pump on the 1KD. On this, there's your power steering pump there. Now we're not going to cover everything in this video. There's a whole lot of differences and we're yet to figure it out. We don't work on these generally, just doing a bit of homework on them to provide you guys some information over the years, and obviously we're going to start having a look at a couple of them. So, you know, you got your DPF and everything over this side. You got the turbo, your exhaust system. This is your exhaust side, right? So I don't know what I can tell you about it really. What did I want to tell you? Look, driving it, it can certainly get some rattles as well. So that's the other thing. People, you know, I mean, they are a lot quieter. You could easily say, yeah, it's a lot quieter, but it's a new vehicle. You're comparing a new one to an old one, so it's always going to be a lot quieter. The engine design is a little bit different. You know, hydraulic lifters rather than adjustable, and There's no timing belt, so there's no timing belt at the front here to change. There's a timing chain, which, as I said in the other video, means somewhere down the track there could be issues with timing chains and timing chain guides and all that sort of thing, which is a lot bigger repair than just changing a timing belt every only 150,000 k's. So that could be regretful in the end, thinking that, you know, it's better that you don't have to change the timing belt. Of course, it's still got a water pump. It'll be hidden down in behind there, right? And it's still probably going to leak just like water pumps on every other vehicle, you know what I mean? General comment. Pretty neat having the small engine in the engine bay. That's the good news. Once you get that cover off and start removing things out of the way, there's not a lot to it. It's just new things. Technology makes things look complicated, but it's really just more pipes, more wires, and more plugs to undo, and more nuts and bolts to remove components out of the way to get to what you want to get to. So be aware, the engines can make a bit of noise, rattles and stuff like that. I do hear that, you know, obviously from new, at certain load conditions, like the 1KDs do. I mean, they're diesels, across the board diesels, you're going to get that. You're not going to get anything that's really completely silent. Obviously, as I've mentioned, no DPF issues as yet, and don't expect there to be, because generally this is doing longer highway runs. We'll probably put it to the test with some shorter runs combined and whatever. It's not like you're going to not use the vehicle because you've got a shorter trip to do, but when you've got options, it could be the go to not use the vehicle too much for the school run and going to the shops and back. That's what all the really short trips. I spoke to someone else today who's got I think it's a 2018 Hilux, and basically the 2018 Hilux has done 25,000 k's, and it gets driven fairly short trips. I mean, it does tow the boat for them out. They, you know, go out and go away fishing and whatever. It does do that work for them as well. So, you know, not fair to say it doesn't get driven on any longer trips. So it gets a good drive every now and then, but typically they drive it around shorter trips, your typical sort of driving. They have had zero issues. So that's a 2018. I think it's about a year old now, that one. So that's good. We certainly don't hear about a lot of issues directly, but of course the Toyota dealers are the ones that are going to hear about stuff like that. So as I said, what we're going to do, we're going to provide heaps of information. Like so far on this vehicle, what we did, we used Tintmobile to tint the windows, okay? So that's who we use. We use them for tinting our windows forever. So if you're around Melbourne, or even if you're on a trip, if you just want a good job at a fair price, look, it's not cheapskate stuff, you know what I mean? It's not rubbish tint. You get what you pay for, you know, materials, workmanship, okay? So if you want a good value for money job, give Daniel a ring. What else have we done? We've got those Oricom handhelds, basically to tide us over for that. We just recently did a trip and didn't have time, so we've got a couple of Oricom handhelds, and had that, I don't know if you remember, we had that temporary antenna on the roof, so I'll show you the roof. I mean, you can have a look. That's where it was with 2 weeks. That's where it came out. I don't know what you can see, but there's not a mark there. There's no marks on the paintwork or the roof, okay? It's just, you know, beautiful. So there's no issue there. Just be careful with how you use it, obviously. How do you like the bush setting? You'll have to put something in the comments and let me know if you like videos in the bush setting, because I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and I'm regularly out here, so where's the problem? I've just got to find some more information for you. When you've got a new vehicle, there's not a lot for me to talk to you out here about. It runs beautifully, it does the job. This is not a hardcore off-roader. We're going to set it up for touring, so less is more kind of thing. As I said, we'll let you know exactly what it's going to be at this stage. Look, I like the Optimas because I believe they're a really strong battery. They take the beating on the corrugations, the rough stuff, and they don't let you down. You know, in the 120 we've got the blue top doing that job, running the fridge. It's been running the fridge for 4.5 years. The fridge has been in since the battery has. The next morning it's still on about 12.4 volts. That's with a couple other little things draining power, some USBs with little lights on or whatever in the front and the rear, and a voltmeter that's always on. So I don't know if that makes much difference, probably not, but that's all there. So we're going to put another blue Optima in, but I do want to replace the one in the 120, although there's nothing wrong with it. I like to keep things fresh. I know the average life of a battery is 4 years, it's probably longer with these sorts of batteries when you look after them. And I do look after the battery, so I don't run them down hard. If it's parked for any period of time, it gets plugged on a charger. The 120's got a charger built into it, and that when I plug in one plug, it charges the battery and it runs the fridge off 240 volts. So when I say 12.4 the next day, I mean that's running on the battery, obviously. I like the sound of these dual force. The reason is, I think they're 23.5 kilos, so it's about the same weight as that little Blue Optima, and they're 90 amp hours. So based on that information, I'm prepared to give it a go, and I'll probably put that Blue Optima in the 120 to replace the perfect good battery that's there, and I will make use of that battery also. I've got some other purposes like at camp or whatever, so we can run stuff that's not in the vehicle when we're out sort of base camp, so that's all good. Guys, I don't know what else to tell you. Next thing is we're going to hook up our charging system and run the power to the back, get a storage system, some fridges. We're going to need a bit of lift and some suspension, not much, just a little bit for touring, mainly the springs to compensate for the load we're adding to the vehicle. And so we're going to get some gear off Dobinson's. I think we've been pretty happy with the monotube stuff. So look, I'll have a chat with the guys and work out exactly what we're going to put into it. And of course we're going to put some BFG KO2s. Got another set of rims there. We got to I'm going to paint black or get paint. I haven't worked out exactly whether it's paint or powder coat. On the 120 we powder coated those, so I'll keep these wheels and tires for the beach runs, etc. And whatever, you know, or I suppose if there's a big road trip, whatever, or whatever. I'm saying I'll keep them at the moment. I'll put these aside. Got another set of wheels. We'll get those black one way or the other. Get the tyres on. I suppose that's almost about it. And then probably something on the roof, because the roof looks pretty plain on a GX. I've got some roof rails there that I may or may not use depending what roof system I decide to go for, but some sort of platform. We're going to need a shovel up there, maybe an awning. So flat rack shovel, awning, storage system in the rear, fridges, power to the back. Obviously that's what this battery's all about, and some tyres and suspension. And oh look, you know, we're going to need a compressor, aren't we? We need to let tyres down and pump tyres up. So anyone that watches this video, if I drop a link somewhere like Prado crew, tell me what you think the best options for mounting the ARB compressor are. So I've got a couple ideas about maybe finding a spot for it down in behind here. There's heaps of room. Could be the go, but I'm not sure. I'm undecided. And of course you can get your brackets and stuff, can't you, that go down here in this space here. So there certainly won't be a catch can there on any of my vehicles. I'm not sure if you can fit it. I'm not really, I don't take enough notice, do I? See all these vehicles come in and I'm seeing compressors tucked in here, there, but I don't take a lot of notice because it's not really part of what I'm doing. Anyway, I know it's pretty useless information, but just trying to give you something, and I hope something that I've said's been helpful and informative for you. And hit the subscribe button so you can follow along and see what we do with this vehicle. And we'll give you some updates on what we've done with the 120, because some of you probably don't know it that well. So we'll show you what we've done with that, both the vehicles, and there's also, well, there's plenty of vehicles I can show you anyway. So, alright guys, thanks for watching. See you on the next one. And just while we're cruising out, I thought I'd just say, on the fuel economy front, I put a few videos up on fuel economy so people can get an idea of what's what. Because when you see that's what it is, that's what it is. So these are a few factors, right? The trip computer is very accurate, is the first one. The next one, it's either accurate or the fuel economy is a little bit better than what the computer says. So I've experienced anything from almost dead accurate to half a litre per 100 k's better than what the trip computer says. Okay, that's the first main points. Next, I'd like to say, if you do short trips, your fuel economy is going to be heaps worse. Of course, you're going to see 13, 14, 15, 12, 11, 20, whatever. The shorter you drive, the worse it's going to be. If you start the car and only drive a K or two, the school runs, that's not really what you're getting. That's not a fuel economy test. It's not even driving the car, right? So you can't count fuel economy of any vehicle. The only vehicle that's going to be cheap on a run like that is going to be like your little 4-cylinder things like, you know, very small petrol 4-cylinder car. It's a big heavy 4-wheel drive, right? So apparently this is the local junkyard. Just dump all your rubbish out here. Anyway, so look guys, on the fuel economy, so don't look at my economy and go, you know, that was, you know, proper driving, highway runs, whether it was a highway or not, you know. But anyway, it's all good. Just letting you know. Thanks for watching and have a nice evening.